How did you get the idea of putting the belt on Ron Simmons?
Great athlete, great background. And I tell you guys, just look at the demographics. Look at every other major sport, and it's got black athletes that dominate it, except wrestling.
Right.
That should tell you right there. That's a broadcast to everybody that wrestling is fake because black athletes are never featured. Now, they now feature a few of them, but they're still not in positions of importance. WWF has never had one in positions of true importance.
Right.
So Ron Simmons had everything, but then, he was one of the ones that was positive in the drug test. I mean, and Ron's a lovely guy, but he just couldn't take it to the next level. But I want to tell you how good the thing got over. The people in the crowd were crying the day he won it.
That was in Baltimore.
They were crying the day he won it. That was a great angle. And then you got Jake the Snake, who comes in, and I mean, he's a drugger and a drunk.
Right. I was going to ask you what your opinion was on Jake. He just had a comment.
He's a piece of shit.
Okay.
He's a gutless piece of shit. He's always had his own agenda. He is aptly named.
Right.
Yeah, he is well named. And the proof of the pudding is no major promotion will touch him. You can't count on him.
He said, I don't know, it was in DDP's book. He had a quote in there. He said that if he had the chance, he would pee on Bill Watts' grave, but there's a long line.
Well, that's true, and he doesn't have the guts to do it. He would be too afraid that Bill Watts would come back and snatch his balls if he could find them.
Right.
Because Jake was never been known for courage. So he's the typical guy that could say that from a distance or in a drunken dope stupor.
Right.
So, I mean, what Jake says or doesn't say is of no consequence to me. He's aptly named, and he's a piece of shit.
Okay. Getting back to house shows and stuff, you started putting emphasis on house shows again, starting doing title changes, non-TV and stuff like that.
Well, I think you have to.
Right.
You've got fans that still pay for those house shows. And I think if you put everything on pay-per-view, which we know that's a bigger arena, but if you make, first of all, then pretty soon they know that nothing has any meaning in a house show. So I think that's wrong. I think fans should be able to come to every match wondering what's going to happen instead of coming to every match knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
Let me tell you, John Wayne didn't kill any Indians, but he didn't ride off in the sunset with his arm around him at the end of the fucking movie.
Sure.
So I just believe that the fans like to be mystified. They like to be challenged. They like to think they got you figured out, but you can't let them have you figured out.
I guess in the locker room you had a reputation of being hard to deal with and stuff like that. As far as that's a lot of people's,
I think a lot of guys blow a lot of shit up. If I'm more of a Lombardi or Mike Ditka type. I say what I think.
Right.
I'm very passionate about what I want, and I demonstrate that passion. And if they're not doing it the way I think it needs to be done, then they get their ass chewed. But I think that they all knew they were respected as not only as athletes but as human beings, and that everything I was trying to get them to do was to better the business or their career. Now, a guy that didn't make it with me or didn't fit with me, he would have a bad attitude toward me.
Right.
But most of the guys that have wrestled under me that are still stars have listen, they didn't have to take me to dinner. I buy my own dinner. The respect I got was because I deserved it or demanded it. And that's what it all gets down to. I don't have to like the son of a bitch I'm working for if I think he's right or I think I respect him. There was times that Vern Gagne and I had really differences of opinion, but I respected Vern Gagne. Didn't agree with everything he did. And get really frustrated and pissed off at him. But I respected him. So the bottom line is any wrestler that has a brain knows that I cared about the business.
Right.
And I was trying to make the business better. It wasn't just my agenda. It's what I thought needed to be for the business. And you can look at WCW today, the clusterfuck it is.
Right.
You see the end result of letting the inmates run the asylum.
Also in '92, well, I don't know what year exactly this happened, but
Hey, you guys are for ECW. Bring up Paul E.
That's what I was going to ask you, Paul Heyman.
I
What
think
happened?
Paul was the most talented damn guy in the world, but I needed him to fit in within the parameters of what I was trying to develop there and do it the way I wanted to do it. And Paul just didn't have enough time around me and me around him with all the other shit I had going because he was talented. And then he would screw up, and I make the athlete accountable. I don't think you got to get the money and then you give me the excuse that you didn't make the show because the motel failed to wake you up. Or you missed your damn plane because you waited to the last plane of the day. I told him one time, I can't find Delta Airlines, I'll find you. Or one day the rent-a-car broke down. I said, as much as I'm going to find you, you could have bought a new one. Because it's up to you to get there. I don't give a shit you get there. Because that's the trust the people have. And if we're paying the money, that's what you have to have. And I'll guarantee you, I bet you Paulie has a little different look on life and the business now that he owns it.
Right.
That changes you. When it's whether you're an owner or you're an employee. And it makes a difference. But now, as far as talent and ability, it was huge. And I wanted to like him and I wanted to work with him. We just got off on odds and then we just never did get a chance of putting it back together. And then I wanted to get rid of him because I don't need to have to battle somebody every day with everything else I'm doing. I'm a big one on either you fit my dressing room or you don't.
He was fired, I guess.
I think he was. I can't remember. I think then it got into Turner Broadcasting's legal, which really had to make it a clusterfuck because Paulie's a smart guy, and I think his dad's a lawyer, so that thing probably went on for 900 years. I don't know.
Right.
But, I mean, I have no animosity whatsoever at Paulie, and I've seen that. I don't watch his show, but hell, he's survived, and he's been the little guy out there. So he's put something together, and he's appealed to the people that's tremendously successful. So, hell, my hat's off to him.
I guess you had a lot of critics also at the time when Eric Watts came in. And
yeah, but that's stupid shit. That was the time because Eric had the ability. First of all, he could have probably beat most of them that were there.
Right.
The next thing, he grew up in the business. We didn't have the same shit with Dustin and Dusty or anything else. It just was because I was there doing this and that, and the sheets do this. Let me tell you about the sheets. The sheets sit there and agree, and then when you do the changes that they wanted you to do and you make them, then they got to figure something else to do, or else their sheets are no good. So they got to live on strife. So no matter what you did, you couldn't please them. And I didn't try to do anything to please the sheets anyway. But the bottom damn line is this thing got started with Eric, which was bullshit. I would have brought anybody in with his credentials and built them.
Right.
Bottom line. Now, the fact that he's my son, I'd build him anyway. He has paid a hell of a price being my son in this business. I don't know why he stays in it. I keep telling him to get the hell out of it.
All right.
But he loves this business. Now, maybe apparently Paul E sees something in Eric. So they may have that missing thing, because I don't give a damn who you are. When you're the athlete, you need somebody that believes in you. But my son Eric did great for the time, and he did everything I asked him, and he's got more ability than just being in the ring. He sees this business very well, like any second generation guy that's grown up in it would. So if I had to do all over, I'd do it the same way.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.